I signed as a cosigner to help my brother through a rough patch. What I didn't expect was that his temporary help would slowly become my permanent problem. It was a Tuesday, mid-September, still warm enough that you could sit outside with an iced coffee and pretend summer was not over yet. I was standing in the bank, holding one of those cheap pins they chain to the counter, and trying not to think too hard about what I was doing. My brother, Kyle, was next to me, smiling that easy smile of his, the one that always seemed to work, no matter how much trouble he was in. Just for a little while, he had said a few days earlier. I got the job lined up. This will hold me over 6 months, tops. I believed him. Of course I did. That is what brothers do. When Mom called and said Kyle was trying to get his life back on track, I felt that pull in my gut, the old instinct to step up. We were not close anymore, not since he dropped out of college and started drifting from one scheme to the next. But family is family, right? I told myself I was doing the right thing, that it was not really a big deal. The loan was small compared to what some people sign. I had the credit. Kyle had the charm. And everyone kept saying this was his turnaround moment. He even looked the part, clean-shaven, new shirt, freshly printed resume. The banker was polite, but I could tell she knew. She had probably seen it 100 times. The steady older sibling co-signing for the golden child who never quite grew up. As I signed my name, Kyle clapped a hand on my shoulder. "You won't regret this," he said. I smiled back. But something in me, some quiet part one was too good at ignoring, twitched a little. Like it wanted to speak up, but knew it would not be heard anyway. When we walked out of the bank, Kyle threw his arm around me like we were kids again. "You saved me, man," he said. I told him, "It is nothing. Just make the payments." And at first, he did. That is what made it so easy to believe. For the first few months, everything was smooth. The payments hit on time. Kyle even sent me updates, screenshots of payment confirmations, little messages like "on track," and told you I was serious. He made it look easy, responsible, grown up. And every time I saw those messages, I felt better about what I had done. Proud, even. Like I had helped someone who needed it. But here is the thing about trust. It does not break all at once. It cracks, quietly, in places you do not see at first. And by the time you notice, it is already falling apart. It started with a little delay. One payment missed by a day. Kyle texted before I even noticed. Said something about a mix-up with his bank app, but that it was already fixed. "No worries, bro," I replied. And I meant it. Everyone slips up once in a while. I have been late on a bill or two myself. Life happens. What mattered was he let me know. The next month, it was 3 days late. No text this time. I saw the alert from the bank first. My stomach dropped for a second, then I brushed it off. Probably just forgot again. I sent him a quick message. He got back to me later that night. "Yeah, sorry, man. Had a weird week. Took care of it, though." Still, I told myself, no big deal. He was paying, and that was what mattered. I reminded myself of that a lot. Every time I saw the loan balance pop up on my account, I reminded myself this was temporary. A short detour. A favor for someone trying to change. But the pattern started forming faster than I expected. The text slowed down. The payments got later. Sometimes I had to message him twice just to get a reply. When he did answer, it was always friendly. Always casual. Like he barely noticed the tension in my words. "Things are tight right now," he would say. "Just a couple more weeks, and I'll be caught up." I told him, "Okay, just let me know." He always said he would. But something shifted in me. I started checking my banking app every morning. Not because I wanted to. Because I had to. Like I was waiting for something to go wrong. I stopped sleeping well the night before each due date. My heart would beat a little faster if I saw a notification on my phone. I never said anything to anyone. Not to my girlfriend. Not to my coworkers. Definitely not to my mom, who still thought Kyle was trying his best. I kept it all inside, because I did not want to sound paranoid. Or worse, ungrateful. After all, Kyle was paying. Just, not on time. And not without a little pushing. That did not make me a sucker, right? But deep down, I was starting to feel it, that creeping sense of dread. The kind you cannot quite put into words. Like you are standing in a room that looks perfectly fine, but something smells off. Something you cannot see yet. I should have said something. Drawn a line. Demanded consistency. But I did not. Because I still believed. I still wanted to believe. Until one day, I opened my account and saw my money had been used to make the payment. It was $86. That is what the minimum payment came to that month. I remember the number exactly because I stared at it for 10 minutes straight, wondering if I had missed something. I kept refreshing the screen like maybe the numbers would rearrange themselves and Kyle's name would magically show up under the transaction. But no, it was my checking account, my debit card. It was me. He had missed the payment completely, and the bank, since I was the cosigner, took it from me. No warning, no call, just a neat little withdrawal and a cheerful thank you email saying the loan was now current. I sat there in silence. My coffee went cold. The TV was on in the background playing some dumb commercial about beach vacations, and I remember thinking how far that $86 could have gone toward something normal. Gas, groceries, anything that was actually mine. I typed out a message to Kyle, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Hey man, payment came out of my account. What's going on? I deleted it. Typed again. This is starting to stress me out. I thought we had a deal. Deleted again. Finally, I settled on something watered down. Payment didn't go through. I got hit for it. Can you send it back when you get a chance? He replied 6 hours later with a voice memo. Like he could not even be bothered to type anymore. Ah shoot. Man, my bad. I spaced it. I got you this weekend. That was it. No apology. No offer to pay a little extra for the delay. Just, I got you this weekend. He did not. That 86 became 120 the next month. Then 200. By December, I had made 3 full payments out of pocket, and Kyle had not paid me back for a single one. He would always say the same thing. Next week, almost caught up, or my personal favorite. This is just temporary. I never told anyone. Not because I was protecting him. I think, in a messed up way, I was protecting myself. I did not want to admit I was being used, because saying it out loud would make it real. So I lied by omission. When my girlfriend asked why I was short on rent 1 month, I told her work had cut back on overtime. When my buddy Brian invited me on a ski trip, I said I was saving up for something big. When my mom mentioned how proud she was that Kyle was finally taking control of his life, I smiled and nodded like my stomach was not twisting itself into knots. That is the thing no one tells you about being the responsible one, the strong one, the rock. No one asks how you were doing. They just assume you were fine. But I was not. And the worst part? Neither was Kyle. Because while I was bleeding money in silence, he was posting selfies at bars and concerts, acting like nothing was wrong. It was the concert post that did it. Kyle had uploaded a video to his story, front row at some massive outdoor show, arms up, drink in hand, yelling the lyrics like his life was perfect. I watched the whole 30 seconds in complete disbelief. Not because he went out, but because the caption read, "Finally catching a break." On the way up, I sat on my couch, phone in hand, that tight pressure building behind my eyes. The kind of anger that does not explode. It just simmers, low and slow, until your hands start shaking and you do not even realize how hard you are gripping your own phone. I had made the payment 2 days earlier. $230, out of my account, on time, like always. And there he was, using my stability like a trampoline, bouncing off it to pretend his life was fine. I wanted to call him right then and there, to scream, to ask him how he could look himself in the mirror and still pretend this was okay. But I did not. Instead, I opened his profile, scrolled through his posts. It was all the same. Smiling, drinks, new jacket, gym selfies with hashtags about rebuilding and rising up. Comments from old friends hyping him up. Proud of you, bro. Told you you'd get there. Finally turning the corner. I was the corner. Me. He was turning on me, and no one knew it but him and me. That is when it hit me. Not just the anger, but the shame. This weight I did not know I was carrying. Because I let it happen. Because I signed the paper. Because I thought helping someone meant believing every promise they made, even when they had a history of breaking them. That night, I laid awake thinking about how it started. The way he had looked me in the eye at the bank. That grip on my shoulder. That brotherly grin. You saved me. What a joke. No, I did not save him. I gave him a parachute and he cut the cords, then handed me the broken strings. And even after all that, after the payments, the lies, the silence, I still found myself making excuses for him. Maybe he's stressed. Maybe he's embarrassed to admit he's struggling. Maybe he will pay me back. But that voice in the back of my head, the one I had been ignoring for months, was done whispering. It was screaming now, and it was saying, he is not coming back for this. He never planned to. Still, part of me clung to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there was a good reason for all this. Until the night I finally called him, and he let it go to voicemail. I called 3 times that night. The first time, it rang all the way through. The second, straight to voicemail. The third, nothing. Just dead air before that robotic voice kicked in. The person you are trying to reach is unavailable. I stared at the ceiling for a long time after that. Not angry, not upset, just numb. Like something inside me had finally accepted what the rest of me had been fighting to deny. Kyle was not just slipping. He had let go, and I was the only one still holding on. The next morning, I checked my account. The payment had already cleared. $264. Like clockwork. Like habit. Like something I no longer even had to think about. Except now, I did think about it. Constantly. That money meant less groceries. It meant skipping out on going to my buddy Kevin's bachelor weekend. It meant choosing between fixing the brake pads on my car or renewing my gym membership. Kyle, on the other hand, he posted again that day. Picture of a brunch plate. Some rooftop cafe. Poached eggs and avocado toast. Caption said, manifesting good energy. I almost laughed. Not the real kind. The bitter kind. The kind that sticks in your throat and feels like broken glass on the way out. I typed out a comment. Glad you're eating good on my dime. I deleted it before I hit send. What was the point? He knew. He had to know. But I think that was the part that hurt the most. It was not ignorance. It was indifference. He was not struggling quietly. He was thriving loudly. On a foundation I was breaking myself to keep standing. And nobody else knew. To the rest of the family, Kyle was turning things around. He had found his rhythm. Our mom even said he had a new calm about him. Yeah, calm costs money. And I was the one paying for it. I wanted to tell someone. I really did. But every time I imagined saying the words out loud, I've been paying his loan for months, they caught in my throat. Like it made me weak. Like it was my fault for trusting him in the first place. The shame was not his. Somehow, it landed on me. Until I saw the notification. Another loan account. Open under my name. I froze. There it was, clean as day. A new loan account. Smaller, sure, but under my name. Different lender. Different terms. Recent approval. I stared at the notification like it was a message from another reality. Because I had not signed anything. Not this time. For a few seconds, I thought maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it was one of those spammy pre-approvals. I clicked into the details. Nope. Signed. Processed. Disbursed. I felt sick. The email used was mine. The phone number? Mine too. But the mailing address was different. His apartment. The one he had moved into a few months back when things were finally turning around. The pit in my stomach dropped even lower. My heart started racing, but not from fear. It was rage now, pure and clean, the kind that cuts through doubt and lands like a hammer right in the center of your chest. I knew what had happened. Kyle had used my information. Maybe from the original loan. Maybe from an old form I had filled out for him. Maybe he had just guessed the security questions because, of course, he knew me better than anyone. And I had trusted him. Trusted him enough to co-sign. Trusted him enough to keep my mouth shut when he started slipping. Trusted him enough to believe this would be temporary. But this was theft. No more he's just struggling. No more he'll come around. No more excuses. This was a choice. A conscious, deliberate, calculated decision to dig deeper into my life, take what was not his, and leave me holding the bag. And the worst part? I still hesitated. There was a version of me, the old version, that almost picked up the phone, ready to say, "Why would you do this to me?" But what would that change? He would lie. He would twist it. He would laugh it off and say he meant to tell me. Maybe even cry a little. Kyle had always been good at tears when it counted. I had seen this movie before. Except now, I was not the same character. I screenshotted everything. Every page. Every transaction. I sent it to myself, to my work email, even backed it up on a flash drive. Then I called the lender, filed a fraud report, gave them everything. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I said I needed time to think. I hung up, sat in the dark for an hour, staring at nothing. That is when my phone buzzed. A message from Kyle. One word. Bro? I just stared at the message. Bro. That was it. No apology. No explanation. No panic. Just that same fake casual tone he always used when he wanted to smooth things over before I caught on to how deep the damage went. But this time, he was too late. I did not answer. 5 minutes later, another message. Hey, you good? I wanted to laugh. Am I good? No, Kyle. I was not good. I had just found out you opened a second loan in my name, burned through my credit, and left me paying for your so-called comeback while you drank mimosas on rooftops and posted about hustle culture. I walked to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, stared at myself in the mirror. I looked tired. Not physically, but soul tired. Like I had been running after someone who had no intention of stopping. Like I had built a bridge for him to cross, and now I was standing in the ashes wondering why he never looked back. Another buzz. Hey, can I call you? And that was it. That little message snapped something in me. No, you cannot call me. You cannot ask me anything anymore. You can explain. You can face what you did. But you do not get to call it a misunderstanding. You do not get to hide behind that smile or that tone or that damn word, bro. Like this was just some bump in the road. I finally texted back. We need to talk. In person. He replied almost instantly. Sure. What's up? Everything okay? I sent him a time and place. Neutral ground. A diner halfway between our apartments. He agreed. Said, cool. I'll be there. No idea what he thought I was going to say. Maybe he believed he could still spin this. Maybe he thought I did not know about the second loan yet. Maybe, worst of all, he thought I would just let it slide again. But this time, I brought everything. Printed documents. Screenshots. Proof. I walked into that diner with a folder full of truth. And for the first time in this whole mess, I was not hoping for an apology. I was preparing for war. I got there early. Picked a booth in the corner where I could see the entrance. Ordered a black coffee I had no intention of drinking. My hands were steady, but inside I felt like a bomb ticking down. I had not slept. Barely ate. Everything in me was wired tight. The folder sat on the table in front of me. Closed. Thick. 10 minutes passed. Then Kyle walked in. Same swagger. Hoodie, backwards cap, that crooked smile he wore like armor. He spotted me, raised a hand like this was just a casual meet-up between brothers. I did not smile back. He slid into the seat across from me and leaned back like nothing was wrong. Yo, been a minute. I said nothing. Just pushed the folder across the table. He looked down at it, then back up at me. What's this? Open it. He flipped it open and started flipping through. His face stayed unreadable at first, but when he hit the second loan, his eyes paused. Then came the smirk. The one he always used when he was cornered, like if he smiled hard enough, maybe reality would bend to his version of the story. Okay, look, he started. I was going to talk to you about that. No, I cut in. Do not lie. That threw him. He blinked, sat up straighter. I did not lie. You forged my name, Kyle. That is fraud. You used my information. You opened a second loan and let me pay the first one while you were partying like you hit the lottery. And not once did you tell me the truth. He looked around the diner, like maybe someone else would step in and defend him. Then he shrugged. I needed the help, man. Things got tight. I figured you'd understand. You figured I would clean it up. He did not answer. I leaned forward. You did not just mess with my money. You messed with my name. My future. Do you even care what this could do to my credit? My job? My life? He scoffed. Dude, calm down. You act like I killed someone. That was it. That right there. That sentence, the casual deflection, the way he minimized what he had done, it told me everything I needed to know. He knew, and he just did not care. You are not going to pay me back, are you? He looked me dead in the eyes and said nothing, just silence. That was all I needed. I picked up my coffee, took one sip. Cold. Then I stood up and said, you will be hearing from them soon. His eyes widened. Wait, you reported it? I looked down at him one last time. This stopped being about helping you the moment you decided I was disposable. Then I walked out, left him sitting there with the folder, and no way out. I thought I would feel better. Walking out of that diner, I expected some kind of relief. A weight off my chest. A final breath of clean air after months of swallowing smoke. But all I felt was tired. Bone deep, soul-worn tired. The kind you cannot shake with a nap or a drink or a weekend away. This was the kind of tired that comes from realizing someone you would have bled for would not even flinch before cutting you open. Kyle did not call after that. Not that day. Not the day after. But the noise came anyway. A voicemail from our mom. Confused, emotional. Why is Kyle saying you're trying to get him arrested? Then another one. This time angry. Whatever this fight is, you two need to work it out. Family is family. That hit harder than I thought it would. Family is family. Funny how that phrase always gets thrown around after the damage is done. Never when boundaries need to be respected. Never when someone needs to be held accountable. Just when you finally stand up for yourself. I did not answer her call. I let it go to voicemail. Again and again. Kyle had burned a bridge, and for once, I was not going to dive into the fire to rebuild it. A few days later, I got a call from the fraud investigation team. They confirmed everything. The IP address matched his apartment. The contact number used to verify the application? His. They asked if I wanted to proceed. I said yes. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed this to stop. I had spent nearly a year trying to protect him. From banks, from creditors, from the truth. I had worn that guilt like a second skin. But all it had done was make me smaller. This was not about punishing Kyle anymore. It was about choosing me. I had to call the credit bureau, lock down my information, freeze my accounts, set fraud alerts. The process was slow, humiliating, exhausting. Every time I explained what happened, I could feel the pause on the other end. Your brother did this? Yeah, he did. The guy I used to play video games with. The kid I used to defend in school when other kids picked on him. The man I sat next to in a bank and told, just make the payments. I trust you. That guy. It felt like grieving someone who was still alive. Then, late one night, a message popped up on my phone. It was Kyle. Just 3 words. You ruined me. I stared at that message for a long time. You ruined me. That was his takeaway. Not, I am sorry. Not, I messed up. Just blame. Just guilt. Like I had thrown a grenade into his life and walked away. But the truth? I did not ruin him. He did that all by himself. All I did was stop pretending. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, and felt something I had not felt in months. Peace. Not happiness. Not closure. Just a cold, quiet peace that comes when you finally stop running after people who never planned to meet you halfway. I did not reply to Kyle. There was nothing left to say. He made his choice. I made mine. The lenders froze the fraudulent loan. My credit took a hit, but it would recover. The investigation was still ongoing, but they said I had enough to press charges if I wanted to. I have not decided yet, and maybe that is the hardest part, letting go without getting even. But I have learned something through all this. Helping someone does not mean sacrificing yourself. Trust without boundaries is not loyalty, it is surrender. And when you hand someone your name, your credit, your reputation, you are handing over more than numbers. You are giving them a piece of your future. So no, co-signing that loan was not just a favor. It was a belief. A statement that said, I think you will take care of this, because you care about me as much as I care about you. But Kyle never saw it that way. To him, it was just another door to walk through. Another problem to hand off. And I was just the guy standing there with an open wallet and a closed mouth. Not anymore. I still get texts from Mom. She thinks I overreacted. Says Kyle is going through something. Maybe he is. But so was I. I was going through the crushing weight of responsibility that was never mine to carry. I was going through nights of anxiety, silent shame, and months of watching someone else live easy while I paid for it, literally. And I survived it. Not because I am cold. Not because I stopped caring. But because I finally learned to protect the one person who always got left behind in my choices. Me. This will follow me for a while. The payments. The paperwork. The conversations I still need to have with the people who will never really understand. But I am done chasing redemption in other people's stories. I will write my own. And from now on, no one signs for my life but me.